тебя. Hello guys, my name is Olia and I would like to talk about physiology. Why physiology is important to freedivers, to us, to freedivers. It's important for us to understand what's going on with our body, the changes that our body undergoes when we dive or when we're in a swimming pool, so that we can recognize exactly our state, referring to that knowledge base that we acquire in this class, so that you can accurately recognize the states that you're going through. So the two states I would like to talk about is hypoxia and hypercapnia. So essentially, a lot of physiology is divided into a couple of areas that are important: O2 and CO2, oxygen and carbon dioxide. So oxygen is what we inhale in our lungs, and carbon dioxide is what we exhale from our lungs. So oxygen goes in, and then oxygen molecule is carried into the cells by hemoglobin. So the cells need oxygen in order to do the cellular function, and as a byproduct of that function, carbon dioxide is released into the blood, and this is what we exhale from our lungs. So when we do a breath hold, we experience oxygen increase or decrease?
Decrease.
Decrease, right? So we experience oxygen decrease here, and this state is considered, this state is called hypoxia. So oxygen deprivation, when we don't have enough oxygen and there is physiological changes in the body associated with this state. So here we put hypoxia. Fun state. Who experienced hypoxia before? Did you have fun? Really fun state, goes in stages. And it's CO2. When we do a breath hold, CO2 increases or decreases? Decreases. CO2 decreases? No, increases. So CO2 actually increases in our lungs. This state is called hypercapnia. Just a little bit of science throw into our fun class. So hypercapnia, so associated with the CO2. So what happens with our body when CO2 increases? Some of the physiology that you can experience as chemoreceptors communicate with the brain with an urge to breathe. How does it feel to have urge to breathe? So diaphragm spasm, respiratory muscle spasm, and those spasms are known as contractions. And contractions really depend on the CO2 tolerance threshold, depending on the person, where you came from, and so on. So for everybody, it's different CO2 threshold. And the purpose of our training in the pool and in this class is to give you the base training so that you can be comfortable with contractions. So you can observe them and know exactly what your body is trying to do. And you can work with those contractions, and you can progress slowly into higher level of CO2 tolerance. Yeah, so we can slowly progress. So once contractions go for a while, the CO2 level go up and up, oxygen depletes. What else is happening with the body? In this hypoxic state, we go into acute hypoxia. And here, so to preserve the oxygen, the body undergoes into the following physiological changes, such as blood shift. So the blood shifts from the extremities to the vital organs to make sure that vital organs get enough oxygen. And your extremities may feel different, lactic acid is built up. So may feel tired, heavy, and so on. So if that happens, this is O2 level, low O2 levels. What else can happen with the body? In the depth, your spleen contracts and releases red blood cells so that you can improve oxygenation of the cells, so that to improve carrying oxygen into the cells. It's actually a positive part, release. And what else happens with the body? Heart rate drops, also to preserve the oxygen depletion in the body, and metabolic rate drops as well. Yeah. So this is low heart rate, spleen, and red blood cells. And we never really want to go into any further. So the point of freediving is that we have overall positive experience, so we never want to go as far as experiencing a blackout, which is pushing a little too far beyond your limits. So that's to avoid that, we do training, and we do slow progression and increase in mindfulness. So there's a number of mental techniques that you can use to avoid that state of blackout, which is loss of consciousness. So listen to the body, focus on the process, and know when to end your dive. Come up to the surface, and so basically know your limits and move the edge a little bit further and further with the training. So basically we have short-term changes in the body and physiology, and long-term changes. Short-term are limited to the dive itself, what changes with us during the dive itself. And long-term changes is as we train, our arteries get a little bit more elastic, as the blood shifts to the vital organs, so around the heart, around lungs, vessels get a little bit more sort of worked out and elastic. And cellular level, change at the cellular level, we get to use oxygen a little bit more efficiently, and CO2 tolerance increases. So all of this is positive changes. So, and that's pretty much it for the physiology. And again, why we need to know about physiology is so that really we can dive safe. So the main point about knowing about physiology and how your body responds to different environment is to dive safe and have overall a positive, mindful experience and progress in our diving. Okay, any questions? All right, so next topic, I'm gonna go into mindfulness. And talking about mindfulness, it's good to sit down and assume a meditative posture and position. So in Wave 1 course, we talked about some of the mental techniques such as body scanning and visualization, and to speak separately about mindfulness and mindfulness technique. This comes from the Buddhist tradition. Those of you who practice meditation, maybe you will experience moments of mindfulness, is essentially being in the present moment. And what is the present moment? It's really what you make of it with your mental state and your physiology. It's what you think and what you feel. So it's whatever is happening on the screen of your consciousness. And so to practice mindfulness, one of the best ways is meditation as a dry practice. So a few moments of meditation a day, sort of scan your body, relax first. Only relaxed mind we can concentrate on the object of concentration or meditation, and only concentrated mind we can work with or control. So also why we need to practice mindfulness is also to achieve that deep state of relaxation and to remove any kind of negative self-talk or disbelief in yourself as you go into freediving, or maybe you go for a competition in the future. So those mindfulness techniques are very important. So like I say, you can practice them in a dry practice. So when you're not diving, in the morning or in the evening, or you can practice them during your dive. So mindfully observe your body, your physiology, your mental state. Take a note of what's coming on the screen of the consciousness, not necessarily pushing anything away, but merely observing. If you're feeling fear or negative, making a note, but quickly bring yourself to the point of more of control and high function. So the point of mindfulness, again, everything we do in training is to have safe and positive experience when we're diving. So in mindfulness, it is really nothing black or white, negative or positive. In yoga, it's called upekkha state, when you just observe and you choiceless observer, you sort of detached, you basically observing your body and your mind going through experience. And with the practice, as you able to relax, and by the way, the deep free divers, Adam Stern, Alexei Molchanov, they practice mindfulness on their dives, because that's the way to relax during the dives, deeper dives. Yeah, so really important technique, mindfulness. And as you are able to relax and then to concentrate your mind on your object, whatever it is. In the deep dive, we do a breath hold, so we can't focus on our breathing, but you can focus on various body parts. This is when you can start switching the state. So it's also possible with practice. So if you don't want this experience, you don't add to this experience with even heavier mental state, but you can practice switching from one state to another state and find yourself in a resourceful state where you can be highly functional and perform well and clear-minded to take yourself through the process as your body goes through the physiology that you can't really control. You can only observe that physiology. So this is all for mindfulness technique. If you have any questions.
Nice.
Thank you.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, when you're teaching mindfulness, like, there's not a whole lot to it most of the time, because you do that mostly in the water. You know, I mean, maybe the only other thing you could have done now is like to talk us through a dive, like, oh, you know, so not even to do a visualization, because we don't need to do that. That's a level 1 thing or wave 1 thing. But so, you know, like, so as you're finning, you're focused only on, like, you know, thinking about or keeping your mind on your finning, and then as you're equalizing, you're thinking about equalizing. You're not thinking about, you know, how far is the bottom, how, you know, and all that kind of thing. Do you know what I mean? Just contextualize it a little bit, but otherwise that was all fine.